All right, today we are diving into a pretty radical idea about creativity, something that really challenges everything we think we know about how innovation works. It's called the Allemansrätten Protocol.
So let's just start with this question. We live in a world that is absolutely obsessed with focus, with productivity, with grinding it out. But what if the real key to creativity isn't any of that? What if it's actually freedom? What if the best stuff happens when we just let our minds wander off the path?
Okay, so first, let's talk about the problem. It's something I think a lot of us feel, even if we don't have a name for it. It's this idea of the modern creative bottleneck. Think about it. So much of our work culture is built around efficiency, right? You've got your structured sprints, your to-do lists, your deadlines, and yeah, that stuff helps get things done. But the source material for this explainer argues it also creates these, well, cognitive bottlenecks. We get so locked into the one designated path that we end up building these walls inside our own heads, trapping ourselves and completely shutting out all the wild, unexpected ideas that are just waiting off the trail.
But what if we could just tear those walls down? Well, this brings us to the solution. It's a principle that basically swaps all that rigid structure for a really expansive sense of freedom. It's called the right to roam.
And this is it. The Allemansrätten Protocol. It's such a simple but powerful idea. What if we took the kind of freedom we have to explore the physical world and applied it directly to our own minds, to our own mental landscapes?
Now, to really get what this is all about, you have to understand where the name comes from. This isn't just some made-up, catchy phrase. It's actually rooted in a real-world concept from Sweden that's been around for a very, very long time.
So in Sweden, Allemansrätten, which literally means every man's right, is a law. It gives people the right to walk, to bike, even to camp on almost any piece of land, public or private. There's really only one rule: don't disturb and don't destroy. At its heart, it's all about freedom of access.
And here is the big metaphorical leap. Just like the law gives you the right to wander through a physical forest, the protocol says you should grant yourself that exact same right, but in your intellectual wilderness. The right to explore the messy, unorganized, uncurated landscapes of your own mind.
So, okay, this sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it, right? How do you apply this protocol to your own creative work? Let's break down what that actually looks like.
This quote from the source really gets to the core of it. See, this is an active thing. It's about consciously dismantling all the rules you've set for yourself, that fear of wasting time, that need for every single thought to be productive. It's about taking back your natural right to just explore your own head.
The path here is basically a three-step process. First, you have to dismantle those internal barriers. You know, that little voice in your head that's always screaming, stay on task. That's what allows you to bypass those cognitive bottlenecks we were talking about. And then finally, you're free to just wander, to drift through your raw, uncurated ideas without any judgment, without any specific goal in mind.
And the result of all this isn't chaos, not at all. The outcome is something genuinely transformative. It becomes a whole new engine for your creativity.
Because look, the ultimate goal here isn't just about stumbling upon one good idea. It's about building a sustainable, truly limitless engine for creative output. And this is why it's so important. When you give yourself permission to roam, you're not draining your creative energy on some forced march. You're constantly refueling it from the wild, vast landscape of your own mind.
So that brings us to the end of this explainer, and it really just leaves us with one final thought. If the gates to your own mental wilderness are now wide open, the only question left is, where will you roam first?